Browns are going to get the ball back.
The countdown is on. The boys are back in Berea, and perhaps more importantly, so too are their fans in full force ahead of what promises to be one of the more intriguing seasons in Browns franchise history. Welcome into the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special. I'm News 5 sports anchor Jon Doss. My man to the left, none other than the top dog, the Browns legend, Hanford Dixon. So special, we gave him a different color shirt.
That's right, that's right.
To his left, one half of the Next Level radio show on ESPN in Cleveland. He is the three-time Super Bowl champion,
Thank you.
Jerod Cherry. I've forgotten all of the titles that Nathan Zegura has, senior media broadcaster. We still going with that? That's what the business card says. Yeah. Of course, the two guys on the edge, Hanford. Did you hear this?
No, I didn't hear this.
2/3 of the new radio broadcast crew on the Browns Radio Network. Congratulations to you guys. And you know what? We're very proud. And I think most importantly, Jerod, for you, is taking over pregame hype man duties from Nathan. Is that been discussed? Is that part of the contract?
We'll see. Check.
Guys, it's so good to see you, and really so good to see the fans back here. I said in full force for the first time since 2019 without those COVID-19 restrictions. It really is a different atmosphere when this place is packed.
Well, you know, it really is. It just seems like everybody is just hungry right now for some football, and they're able to come out and watch these players. It's just exciting to me to see a lot of the kids when they come out to practice. After practice, obviously, they get a chance to talk to some of the guys, Jerod, and get some autographs.
Yeah, and Top Dog, it gives you a sense of normalcy to have the fans back out here. And Nathan, one of the things that I appreciate about having the fans out here is that it gives you energy. Even as a broadcaster talking about the team, and I have to imagine that the players feel that way as well, having people cheer when they do something and step on the football field.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of juice. And this is the first time at the new look cross-country mortgage campus. They purchased all the houses along that right side there. There's a lot more room now, more fans, more bleachers, and it's been a pretty electric atmosphere so far for these first 7 days of training camp.
And the first time Kevin Stefanski's gotten to experience this. Third-year head coach, the first time he gets to have a training camp in front of his home fans.
It's the first time a lot of things are normal for this staff, or even for the legends like the top dog, Joe Thomas, to be able now to walk onto the field, talk to the coaches, talk to the players, have those interactions that make this a very special time of year.
I think you really need that, too. And also, not only does it make the alumni feel special, but they'll get a chance to, like you said, talk to a lot of the guys.
And most importantly, one great addition to training camp here in Berea, that's a deep tease, something we'll talk about shortly that may or may not involve the top dog. What we do have to discuss, obviously, is the pressing news of this week. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson suspended 6 games by disciplinary officer Sue Robinson. The NFL has now appealed that ruling. Nathan, now we wait. We wait on a new set of numbers from somebody else.
Yeah, per the CBA, once the decision was handed down by Judge Robinson, either the NFLPA or the NFL could appeal it. At that point, Roger Goodell or a designee of his choosing would hear this appeal and make a ruling. It's supposed to be an expedited ruling, so it should be swift. Now, the NFLPA came out before Sue Robinson issued her decision and said, we will not appeal it. We like this process. It was put in here for a reason. We will abide by her decision. The NFL decided, obviously, in the middle of the week that that's not what they would do. They would pursue a more severe punishment of Deshaun Watson, and there will be an answer from the NFL, I think, in the near future, but at the same time, I think it's far from done. I think the NFLPA is going to defend Deshaun Watson vigorously, and this is something that could end up in court and could get ugly and be hanging over the league and certainly around for quite some time.
And Jerod, we all can't wait for the time that we're just talking football.
Yeah.
Because Deshaun Watson truly is a transcendent type of player for a franchise.
Certainly, and you see it when he steps on the football field, John, that I regarded like a feather, and that he's so light on his feet, Nathan, and how he moves and just makes plays. But the other part of this, too, guys, is just you don't want the distractions. You want to go ahead and just simply play football. Know who's going to be your signal caller, how long is he going to be here, when he's going to get back. All those things factor in, and at this point, it's starting to become a distraction on the simple fact that you don't know his availability now because of this ruling.
And people can say what they want to say. I mean, you look at him and you say it's not a distraction, but it really is to him. And if you get a chance to sit down and talk to him, he's a great guy. I mean, he really is a great guy, and I just can't wait to see him so he can just concentrate on football and not everything else surrounding football.
And from a franchise perspective, it really does change things when you have that guy at quarterback, doesn't it? You got to play with Bernie Kosar for a long time. Jerod, you're going to have to imagine it because I don't think you played with an elite quarterback. You played with the Brady guy in New England for a little while,
Right.
but it really does change things when you have that guy at quarterback that everybody believes in.
There's no question about it, and he's such a dangerous quarterback. Not only can he throw the football, he can run the football. He's a mobile quarterback. And guys, you look at him, I mean, he made great decisions on the football field.
Right, and the talent. When you have a situation when it's effortless, when you can just make plays, and it just looks like, hey, I'm not really trying that hard with the struggle. I just simply make plays. But the beautiful thing about it is when you do have that guy, and you look in that huddle, Nathan, and you see in his eyes the intensity and the confidence that goes along with it, right? On top dog. That makes a huge difference for the morale of a football team.
Yeah, it's the belief that he brings because he can do it. And this is a guy who's probably a top 5 talent in the NFL. The last time he played, he led the league in passing yards. He led the league in yards per attempt. He completed over 70% of his passes with 33 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. And so he can elevate a team. In the NFL, you're looking for that kind of a quarterback. Then there are the ones that people draft and they hope become that quarterback. And then other than that, it's like, well, can we find a way to win with this guy? Deshaun Watson is a guy you win because of, not in spite of. And I think that's what every team in the league is looking for. And the Browns have that now with Deshaun.
And for Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, the word for Deshaun Watson this training camp, growth.
I'm confident that Deshaun will make good decisions on and off the field. Obviously, the on-field decisions, he works very hard at that with the playbook and meetings and being on the practice field. And then off the field, Deshaun's no different than the other 90 guys right now and the 53 guys eventually, that we expect them to be great citizens in the community.
All right, guys, it is, though, a realistic expectation that Jacoby Brissett could be the starting quarterback for this football team at some point in this season. There's so much that has to happen with Deshaun Watson, and we know that. But, Nathan, Jacoby Brissett is a guy who has proven he can come in, start, and win games in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the Cleveland Browns are very excited to have Jacoby Brissett here for that very reason. I talked about there are quarterbacks that you win because of. There are other quarterbacks that sometimes can cost you football games. And what the Browns feel very confident about Jacoby Brissett is that he will not cost you games. You look at that touchdown to interception ratio for his career, 36-17. As a starter in Indianapolis, it was 31 touchdowns, only 13 picks. They feel like he can manage this offense, he can lead this team down the field, and he can protect the football. When you have a ground game like the Browns do with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, when you have a defense like the Browns do with Myles and Clowney up front and that great back end, that's what you need out of the quarterback position to kind of get through what could be the time when Deshaun Watson's out there. So there's a lot of confidence here in Jacoby Brissett. The thing that he knows the most, his own limitations. He knows how to make plays, but he also knows how to avoid playing into his weaknesses.
And that's the key part right there, making sure you're not making mistakes, taking care of the football. And if we learned anything from last season, we learned the following thing, that if you just do what the play dictates and don't go beyond that and simply take what the defense is going to give you, you will have success in this offense because Kevin Stefanski does a masterful job of getting guys and scheming them open.
Well, I think both of you guys hit it right on the head. He's a great decision maker. That's that's the thing that really excites me about this guy. Very intelligent quarterback, too, because if you sit down and you listen to him talk, he's very, very intelligent. Guys, what really surprised me about this guy, he's a big guy. I didn't know he was that big. He's like, what, 6'4", 220?
Right.
He's a big quarterback, yes.
And if this defense, and we're going to get to this later in the show, if this defense plays to its capabilities, you don't necessarily need somebody to go out there and win you the football game. You need somebody who's going to go out there.
Who's not going to lose it.
Not
Give
going
me
to lose
average
you the
quarterback
football game.
play.
And Jacoby Brissett is confident because he's been here before.
Since I've been in this league, it's been the next man up, and that was the case my rookie year. And it's like you said, it's been that way since I've been in the league. So that experience obviously helps and helps with not only the play-in, but also like the mindset of understanding, like, hey, like you got to be ready whenever your number is called.
And Deshaun Watson, not the only key off-season addition for this football team. They got a wide receiver, too, Amari Cooper, who's been one of the most talented wideouts in the NFL.
Guys, I would have loved to have played against this guy because,
we know you would.
Well, he's just a great talent. I mean, Amari Cooper, he's going into his 8th year, and he's still not slowing down. This kid, he still can get open. He's a little bit banged up right now, but I tell you what, Jerod, he is something that they're going to have to deal with as far as the defensive back.
Right, and with Amari, you're not going to get a boisterous player. What you're going to get is a guy who simply takes care of business, gets the job done on the football field. I call him the quiet storm because he doesn't say much. He lets his play do the talking for him, Nathan.
There's no doubt. And this guy, look, four-time Pro Bowler, 5 1,000-yard seasons. This is an accomplished wide receiver one in the NFL. And if you've been out here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus, what you've seen is that Cooper knows how to get open. He knows how to create separation. He's a very good catcher of the football, a natural hands catcher. And in the red zone, as you see there at the back of the end zone, he has been a go-to weapon already for Deshaun Watson in this camp. Missed one day with an ankle injury, came right back and had a great day of camp. So he is that kind of leader. He's got that quiet confidence. It's different than what we've had in our wide receiver room in the past.
Much different.
The talent is there. The approach is different, but I think it's a welcome approach, and he's already taken the young guys in that room under his wing.
Well, Nathan, this is his 8th year, but where did he go to school? Where did he go to college?
Let me guess, Alabama. Of course he does.
Southern Miss. I will say the thing that has stuck out to me most this training camp, maybe the one thing that sticks in my mind that Kevin Stefanski has said, is that Amari Cooper is the most intelligent player he's ever been around. Kevin Stefanski is an Ivy Leaguer.
That's right.
He's been around Ivy Leaguers his entire career. He says Amari Cooper is one of the most intelligent football minds that he's ever been around.
Well, that's so important. The reason why it's important, you want a guy who, one, understands the rhythm of the game, and also, how do I get myself open in certain scenarios? And then on top of that, can I filter that information to my young teammates who are going to be looking to me for leadership? And when you have a guy who understands the game and knows how to fit within the structure of it, you get big plays, you get consistency, and that's what he's shown throughout the course of his career.
And Amari Cooper saying, doesn't matter who's throwing him the football, he's ready to go.
That's right.
Well, to me, it's just no matter who's back there, I just got to make the job easy for whoever it is. That's my goal every time I line up out there. You know, as long as I handle my business, get open, it's easy on whoever's back there. So, yeah, and if I don't get open, it's hard on whoever's back there. So.
Well, if Amari Cooper is the top wideout target for these quarterbacks here in Cleveland, Donovan Peoples-Jones is not a bad number 2 option. I know that we thought he was going to take a major step last year, and he did. In many ways, he did. Of course, he battled injuries. Nathan, is this the year Donovan Peoples-Jones becomes a true, real threat to every secondary they face?
I really think he is. And I'm a big Donovan Peoples-Jones fan, and I have been since the Browns drafted him in the 6th round out of Michigan. You think about the pedigree. He was the number 1 receiver recruit in the country coming out of high school. And so it didn't work out the way that maybe he would have wanted at Michigan. They didn't run kind of that real aerial attack. But you look at what he's done since he's come in the league. Oh, by the way, he was the Browns' leading receiver last year with 597 yards, 17.6 a catch. For his career, 18.8 yards catch. And here's the one, 11.6 yards per target. A number 2 receiver in the NFL, especially in a team that will throw the football like the Browns. That could be 100 targets. Yeah. Given his career averages right there, that means he's over 1,100 yards receiving this year. It's a real breakout opportunity for him. Chad O'Shea loves his work ethic, loves his commitment. He's already been off to a good start in camp. But yes, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a real number 2 receiver in the NFL and a good compliment to Amari Cooper.
And one of the things, too, guys, that I appreciate about his game is that in big moments where it matters the most, he doesn't shy away from it, Hanford.
Yeah.
He steps up in those moments and makes key clutch plays. And that's a sign that the guy has the ability to take that next step.
You're exactly right. And I think one area, Nathan, with all those stats, we'd like to see more touchdowns out of him because I think he only had 3 last year. But a guy that I'm looking forward to, is a guy that I would hate to have to cover is Anthony Schwartz. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's very, very fast, a guy that I'm looking for him to have a big, big year.
You need that stretch to field guy. If you don't get that stretch to field guy, what a defense is going to do? They're going to sit in the box, dare you to try to go over the top with him. And if DBs, we know this personally.
Yeah.
If I'm not afraid of you, and if I don't think you're going to run by me, if you don't have that element on the football field, the defensive coordinators salivate as well as corners.
Nobody can run by you. Nathan, they mention it. I mean, the rest of the wide receiving room, though, is different. A lot of new faces in 2022.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to go back to what Hanford said. I think Anthony Schwartz, and you're right on the money, is the key to unlocking this offense because of that vertical speed. And not only does that allow you to throw it over the top of the defense, but what does that create? Space. When safeties have to roll their coverage, when they have to stay deeper than the deepest, that gives space for the crossing routes to come underneath those verticals. And so I think he's very important. David Bell, we have not gotten to see in training camp yet, but they love the young man they drafted out of Purdue, who was just lights out in the Big Ten. You look at the biggest games against the best competition, Iowa, Michigan State, Ohio State, over 100 yards, over double-digit catches in all of those games. So that's kind of your top 4. Demetric Felton's now back in your receiver room. Mike Woods, the rookie they drafted in the 6th round out of Oklahoma, has been out to a phenomenal start in camp, and he's somebody I certainly would keep an eye on.
All right, obviously a lot of the new additions have Browns fans very excited for 2022 and beyond, but let's be honest, it's the returning superstars, especially a couple of guys in the backfield that has Browns fans really pumped. We're going to talk about those guys next. Plus, by the way, remember, News 5, again, proud to be your Browns partner in 2022 and beyond. Only one place to find the NFL preseason, the Browns preseason games. That's right here on News 5, and it begins already next week, a week from tonight, in Jacksonville against the Jaguars on 7 p.m. We'll be back.
I think things are definitely back to normal now. No more COVID tests, no more wearing a mask. We have no more restrictions, so we come in here any time of day we want to, get our work in, and yeah, we're able to do all the things we want to do.
Well, the countdown is on to the day we get to see that guy at that stadium along the shores of that lake, First Energy Stadium. Welcome back now to the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea. Jon Doss with Hanford Dixon, Jerod Cherry, and Nathan Zegura. It's the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special. Nick Chubb is healthy and ready to dominate the NFL once again, Hanford.
Well, what can you say about him? I mean, Nick is a Cleveland-type guy. He's a guy that come to work every single day with his old lunch pail right in his hand, and you know you have to go to work with him. Guys, he runs a lot bigger than he actually is. What is he, 5'11", 227, something like that?
Pretty big
but
to
he
me,
is, well, but he runs like he's like 250 or something, Jerod.
Well, I hear what you're saying. He does run like he's a fullback or throwback, if you will. But the other thing that I love about the YouTube, Instagram squatting sensation is that you see why when he puts the pads on, why he's able to lift that much weight, because he runs with so much power and conviction. But the thing that you love best about him, Nathan, is the fact that he is the teammate of teammates. It's never about him. He's always about the team.
He's all about his business and the team and helping this football team win. And you mentioned how he can run through people, run them over, and run away from them. Last year, he averaged 4.25 yards after contact per carry. There are a lot of running backs that would be happy to average 4 yards a carry, period. That's what he would get after contact. And then he mentioned running away. 41 runs of more than 10 yards last year, second most in the league.
You know what I would tell everybody in the huddle if I were playing and we were getting ready for Nick? I would tell everybody on defense, I said, keep him away out of the secondary. I do not want to see this guy. Keep him away.
The problem is he gets to that level. More often than not, he gets to that level. If you look at his numbers, second in the NFL, Nathan, in rushing last year, he had more than 100 carries less than Jonathan Taylor, who led the NFL.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We've never seen him with a workload like a Jonathan Taylor or like a Derrick Henry, but that's part of the reason that keeps him fresh. Here's one thing that he's done that nobody in the history of the league has done. As a running back, he's averaged 5 yards or more per carry in each of his first 4 seasons. The only other player who's done that was Cam Newton, a quarterback. So he is always fresh. He's always able to kind of hit those holes and take it to the house. And his acceleration, which is it jumps off tape. Sometimes you look at him and say, is he blurred right there because he's going so fast? Out here so far in training camp, it's been wild. He looks like he's in the best shape he's ever been in, and that's saying something because this guy's a specimen.
And what you really appreciate, though, is the fact that he has the ability to pull away from DBs. He can outrun a corner and a safety, and that's so impressive. But the other part about it, again, that I appreciate is the toughness that he brings to the table. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to be demonstrative. And that's probably one of the reasons why he doesn't get enough credit in my mind, is that, simply put, he doesn't say much, because if he was being more boisterous and talking about himself and pounding his chest, he'd probably be more of a popular player. But obviously we love him in Cleveland because, as you said earlier at Hanford, he represents that blue-collar, hard-working Cleveland ethic.
But, guys, we have that 1-2 punch. We also have his partner.
And that's why Nathan talks about the luxury of not having to have Nick Chubb have that type of workload, something that hopefully benefits him in the long run, right? We hope Nick Chubb is a Cleveland Brown for a long time. One of the reasons we have that luxury is because of that other guy, Kareem Hunt, and won't it be great to see those two guys healthy in the same backfield again?
Absolutely. You think about it, you've got a case could be made that the Browns have the best running back in the NFL, Nick Chubb. You certainly can say it's not a case to be made, it's a fact they have the best 1-2 combination in the league with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and then the best 1-2-3 when you throw in Dearness Johnson who was the FedEx Ground Player of the Week in his one start against Denver. But Kareem Hunt's impact can't be overstated. You go back to the first 6 games last year. He had 522 total yards and 5 touchdowns in those 6 games. The Browns were playing very good football. His injury last year affected them. You go back to the year they go to the playoffs. For only the 4th time in NFL history, the Browns had 2 running backs, Chubb and Hunt, both over 1,200 total yards, both with 12 or more touchdowns in the same season, including the playoffs. It is a dynamic duo that you can't overstate. I know that's a Batman reference with which Nick Chubb would like, but they are as good a tandem as it gets.
And Nathan, Kareem Hunt, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Kareem Hunt is a threat, not only running the football, but
Catching
also
it.
coming out of the backfield, catching the ball.
Certainly is. Yes, again, a very talented backfield. And though it's only been one day in pads, I must say, Jerome Ford, I've been very impressed with him.
Jerome Ford's exciting.
Exactly, and it's not just Dearness Johnson. Although we were all very impressed with how Dearness Johnson carried that load in the midst of those injuries to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt last year, but the cupboard is not bare the rest of the way.
No, and I'll go back to the OTAs and minicamp, and it was kind of stated, Demetric Felton's going to be a running back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they said, okay, wait a second. Let's do some math real quick. Nick Chubb, yep. Kareem Hunt, yep. Dearness Johnson, yep. Jerome Ford. Demetric, let's go play receiver, and that's your best path to making this football team. Ford, it looks like he is shot out of a cannon out here. The speed that he has. Not only that, this is a guy who had 19 touchdowns last year at Cincinnati, set the school record. But I go back to high school, and I'll thank Dane Brugler for this from The Athletic. His senior year, his high school was so good. And think about this. Nick Saban landed a helicopter at 50-yard line of his high school to recruit him to Alabama as a running back. His senior class was so good, he had to play slot receiver in high school his last year. He had about 20 carries. He ended up having about 870 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns as a receiver. So when you watch him as a natural pass catcher, it goes back to what he did in high school. Jerome Ford is darn good at that. We love Dearness. Come on, Dearness is just a legend.
Alabama's landing helicopters.
Right.
To recruit Ford.
That should tell you something.
Cal didn't have that type of budget.
Man, we weren't even landing drones.
Cal didn't have that type of budget for its football program. All right, coming up after the break, it's a new contract and new expectations for maybe one of the most dangerous tight end threats in the NFL. Next to the Browns Countdown. Dog days of summer may be an understatement here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea. Summer is here. It is hot. But that also means football season. Welcome back into the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special. Jon Doss, Hanford Dixon, Jerod Cherry, Nathan Zegura, David Njoku. He's a happy man this offseason. Got a nice new contract. And the Browns now are going to expect big-time production.
And I think the Chief, sometimes people get paid and they say, I've made it. He feels like they are paying him for what is to come, and he wants to prove the Browns absolutely right. A guy, remember, former first-round pick of this organization at times, he wanted out. And they said, no, you have to stay here. And what did he do? He put his head down, he worked. He became a dominant blocker, as well as a guy who you've seen as a talent in that room as a pass catcher, a great athlete, a high-jump champion. So he's got a lot of skills. I talked to T.C. McCartney today, actually, his tight ends coach, and he said he has such a unique combination of size, speed, and agility that they are really excited to unlock him this year. I think he's going to have a monster season at tight end one role, Jerod.
Well, what I really appreciate about David is the following. People forget Kansas City had some big moments. Obviously, against the Chargers, he had some big moments. But after that, the team went away from him. So this idea of him being able to live up to production, if you simply pass him the football with his skill set, with his size and his talent, he's going to make it happen. I'm confident of that. So I believe he's a mismatch waiting to happen. You don't put a safety on him, too big, too strong. Put a linebacker on him, too fast, too tall. So I am very, very fortunate in my mind to say, hey, this guy will be the one who will be probably our truthfully #1 receiving threat.
Nathan, I'll tell you this. The first time I saw David Njoku, I know he was going to be a great tight end. I mean, the guy is just big. He's fast. I mean, he can run the routes. He also is a great blocker. But all you have to do is watch him. Every time, Nathan, he comes out in practice, he doesn't have a shirt on.
Yeah.
He is just absolutely ripped and cut up.
Well, if I looked like that, I would be wearing a shirt right now. It would be very easy right here. But I want to go back to something you said. Give him opportunities. Go back to last year. He had 4 games in which he had 5 or more targets, which is not really a huge workload for a tight end. 4 games with 5 more targets. 16 catches, 289 yards, and 2 touchdowns in those 4 games. Take that over a 16-game season. I know we have 17 now. That's over 1,000 yards for a year. So this is somebody now with Austin Hooper gone, get his targets up to 80 to 100. This is a guy who's going to be in the 800-yard range, 8-touchdown range, especially with better quarterback play, which we should get with Deshaun Watson.
And to Nathan's original point, David Njoku is ready to take it to the next level.
We'll see. I'm just here to be whatever I can do to help the team, win each day, not just games, win each day. Because in camp, it's a grind, and we all have to work together to accomplish our mission. I think everybody's working very hard. to all get to one goal, which is, win every game, you know what I'm saying, one game at a time. So I feel like as long as we just keep putting in this work that we're doing, great things will happen for all of us.
All right, the other tight end in that room, of course, Harrison Bryant, who had a nice rookie season debut last season. We're expecting maybe he takes another level too, Hanford.
Well, I think so, and I just thought, well, I'm going to start a little controversy here. I just wish we can find Hooper and get some of that money back we gave him, because I think these two guys right here. You know what? You look at Harrison Bryant. I mean, he could do everything that Hooper was doing, and he could do it a little bit better. I think.
And for cheaper.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Okay, I knew it was coming.
Listen, Austin Hooper was a two-time Pro Bowler and was basically a flexed-out big slot receiver in line. He came here and didn't get those opportunities and handled it, I think, very, very
Nathan,
well.
I can cover him. I can cover Hooper.
We've got
now?
Harrison Bryant now.
Right.
Guy, 3 touchdowns in each of his first 2 seasons, and they like his abilities as a move tight end. You see the hands right there, his ability to catch the football. He is going to get more opportunities because Austin Hooper's gone. So Chief moves up, so does Harrison Bryant. He's a guy I think to keep an eye on, especially when Jacoby Brissett is playing quarterback. We're still going to use a lot of those 2 tight end sets. Harrison Bryant's going to play a big role.
Who do you see Nathan emerging as a third tight end?
Miller Forsyth, who went to Alabama just for you, is on their 2020 National Championship team. He has had a very nice camp. Where's number 86 if you come out here? A quarterback in high school who, believe it or not, lost his starting job to Trevor Lawrence. No shame in that. Becomes a tight end and has now been with the Browns since last year and has had a very nice camp. He's kind of in that spot to be the third. And then Johnny Stanton would also be in the mix there. And he's also had a nice camp. T.C. McCartney likes how he's kind of taken to the route running aspect of being a tight end. We knew he could block. The guy was a fullback for years.
About the fullback. Yes.
Right.
All these discussions we're having, I think one of the more intriguing storylines for this team this training camp is Nick Harris at center, right? J.C. Tretter's gone. That's an important position in this offense, Nathan.
It's a critical position. It's basically the quarterback of the offensive line. And for the Browns and Nick Harris, remember, a couple of years ago, 2nd round, the Browns moved back. You say, what? Grant Delpit's on the board. Guess what? They get Grant Delpit. They get a free 5th-round pick. That 5th-round pick turns out to be Nick Harris, a young center out of Washington. And so you look at him, and while you're saying this will be his first year as a starter, that is true. This will be his 3rd training camp taking all the first-team reps. Remember, J.C. Tretter didn't do that in training camp, going through the knee injury. Never missed a snap. The guy was electric and tough. But Nick Harris last year got to start on Christmas against the Green Bay Packers. And in that game, 41 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. They even pulled him as a center. They love his mobility, and we had a great game running the football that day down there in Green Bay. But there's a lot of confidence in what he can do. It's not a competition people thought it would be when they brought in Ethan Posey. It is Nick Harris's job, and he is off to a great start, and Bill Callahan loves what he's doing. Remember, he said, this guy was a first-round talent if you just put his tape on, but he was small. But in this offense, the wide zone scheme, it doesn't matter. It's his movement skills. It's understanding leverage. He does that very well, Jerod.
Right, and he's certainly putting on the calories, 7,000, I believe, a day, so he's gaining the weight. But what you love about his play is the fact, as Nathan just alluded to, he can move around. He can do the pulling. He can do all those things that you want in an athletic offensive line. He fits this mold perfectly, and this allows this offense to do some very intricate things from a run scheme standpoint. And Bill Callahan, I'm sure Kevin Stefanski, Hanford will take full advantage of that.
Well, let's just face it. I mean, Bill's the best offensive line coach going right now, but he's got so many great guys and veteran guys on that offensive line that can help him along the way. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I think he's going to be okay, especially at that center position.
It's nice to be in between 2 All-Pros, by the way.
That's right. That's right.
And Nick Harris, Nathan, is going to lean on his past experience this year.
Definitely, that's obviously, growing up, that's what you want to do, is you want to play in the NFL. And, finally, I had to play my role for the last 2 years and just learn and grow in that position. And I'm glad, luckily enough, I've got the opportunity now, to start. And, I'm excited to just, grow in that position and just keep getting better and just keep building on it.
Of course, the Browns had to lean on their depth on the offensive line last year. They had injuries up and down that offensive line. So good to see Nathan Jack Conklin going to be healthy in 2022.
So I was there in Baltimore. I saw him get hurt. I then saw him walk off, right? He was kind of walking directly towards me, and then that leg buckled, and I said to myself, I don't know when we will ever see Jack Conklin again. And yet he was here every single day this offseason. Rehabbing. I remember one of the first media availabilities I saw right behind us where we're standing. There's some grass area there. An offensive lineman going through their pass sets. And I go, oh my God, that's Jack Conklin. He was already moving, already been activated off the PUP list. We will see him in training camp. He will be ready for week 1. That to me is almost miraculous. It is a testament to him, his dedication to get back on this field, and to his training staff. And when you can bring back a guy who in 5 seasons has been first-team All-Pro twice, that is always a good thing, Jerod.
Certainly. And that's how you know you have something special going on with this football team, guys, because you have a situation where a guy is rushing to get back on the football field. It was not always the case around here, but it is certainly the case now that he is excited. He's doing the extra things, and I expect him to be out here pretty soon. And if he could be there opening week, that's only going to help our cause.
I've always said this about you, Hanford. I always tell people he doesn't have a big head. The Browns have now made me a liar. Coming up next on the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special.
What a tease that.
If you've been to Browns training camp here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, you know one of the big draws, the massive bobbleheads. A new addition this year, our own Top Dog.
It actually looks like you.
What do you guys think of the bobblehead?
We love it. We were just getting pictures of it. We wanted you to take a picture with us.
You know what? I'm looking at it. I think they did a really good job because when you look at it, here's my towel that I always have. And you know one thing I always did? I always wore these long sleeves right here. And you can see they captured that. And I just like the detail. One thing I have to say though, guys, look at it. I have hair right now. I never have. You look at me now, I don't have any hair, but I have hair right here. But you know what me and the bobblehead have in common? We both bark.
Best barker ever!
Who needs the Ring of Honor? You have forever been immortalized with a giant bobblehead. Have you asked for that yet, by the way? When they're done with it here, you get to
No, I did not. I haven't asked for it. I just love the idea. They have hair on my head. You guys know I don't have hair. Don't you say one thing. Don't you say one thing. Okay,
we all see these bobbleheads and these statues that look nothing like the people that look just like you.
You know what it did? He's
did you
handsome.
pose for that?
I did. He's handsome too. I mean, he's a handsome
I guess it
kid.
doesn't look just like you.
Well, it should have the front coat on, I think. That'd be even better.
Right.
What I want to know is how many snaps does that guy get? I know we get your snap count every show. I don't know how many snaps that guy's got. I feel like
dress code.
It could be a lot.
All right, something that a couple of you, well, all 3 of you obviously know a lot about this, but something that a couple of you maybe have extra special
Like
knowledge.
actual experience in the NFL.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
This Browns secondary. Nathan told us off camera he thinks this may be the best secondary in the NFL. And Jerod, it starts with Denzel Ward.
Oh, it certainly does. Denzel obviously is a top premier corner in the National Football League. But when you look at the guys to the left and to the right of them playing nickel or dime on the other side, you see these guys have talent as well. It is rare to have 3 guys that can cover. It's fair to say that they may have 5 guys that have the potential. I've seen a lot out of Emerson. You've seen Newsome. You know what he can do. Greedy's definitely capable. And then you have Green as well. So I am very impressed with what they have because they have multiple guys that can cover and get the job done.
I am too, and I agree with you 100%. I think these guys are just going to be really, really good. I mean, especially start off just like you say with Ward. I mean, you look at Greedy Williams. I think he's got something to prove because he see how Newsome and all the rest of these guys are really starting to play, and they're really starting to play well. I guarantee you, you're talking about a kid that's going to compete. You're talking about Newsome because now he's got a year under his belt, and he understands the defense. He doesn't have to learn it. He understands it, and then you talk about the kid, talking about the rookie, Emerson. Guys, one thing about all these guys, they're not just cornerbacks. They are big cornerbacks.
Size.
I mean, they have some
Not
size.
included in your Browns Countdown bingo chart is Hanford Dixon praising defensive backs.
Yes.
Modern-day defensive backs. And that should tell you just how special Greg Newsome and this Browns secondary can be, is that even Hanford Dixon is a fan of this
I
unit.
am excited
So
about
too
these guys.
is John Johnson, who says most importantly, these guys are all back together again.
It's a lot different. Like the vibe is way better. I don't know if it's just me, but like I feel like everyone feels that same vibe. Like we got a lot of guys back. You know, that continuity is huge, especially on defense. So it's fun, and we're enjoying it. Can't wait to get out there on the field.
All right, so we're going to talk about this guy, unfortunately, for a short period of time. I feel like we could do an entire show on expectations of the rise of Jeremiah Usukormoa in 2022. Nathan, this is a guy that you show up to watch. He's a focal point of this defense. He could be one of the scariest players in the NFL.
Yeah, you go back to last year, he's on multiple Pro Football Writers, Pro Football Focus. They're all rookie teams. You can't help but take your eyes and have them go directly to Jeremiah Usukormoa when you come out to Browns camp. He moves at a different speed than most linebackers, where he's wearing number 28. He's able to knife through and shoot the gap in the run game. He's able to blitz effectively. Heck, last year in his preseason debut down in Jacksonville, he was able to move out to the slot and cover. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs. There really is nothing he can't do, and he is an absolute weapon for Joe Woods. And we talked about on the back end, bringing everybody back. How about your top 4 linebackers are back as well, with J.O.K., with Walker, with Sione Takitaki, and Jacob Phillips. He's a special weapon, and it gives you matchup advantages as a defense where you can now dictate to an offense, Jerod.
Exactly, because when you're on that defense, the coordinator is saying, okay, we have this guy on the football field, but we do not know where he's going to line up, what he's capable of doing, because he can blitz, he can get in coverage, so that messes you up from a signal calling standpoint. But the other part I love about it, he's in such a great position, guys, because he's in a spot to where Hanford, the defense fits completely his skill set.
Well, I'm going to say this really quick. A lot of people don't know, in college, guys, check this out. In college, the guy played nickel. He played out on the slot, and he played nickel. That's how fast this guy is, and that's how good he can cover.
And your first look at Jeremiah Usukormoa and the rest of the Cleveland Browns in the 2022 NFL preseason will be right here on News 5. That is next week already at Jacksonville at 7 p.m. This kickoff Browns countdown, of course, begins at 6:30. If Jeremiah Usukormoa is not the scariest guy in the NFL, I got another recommendation. Myles Garrett coming up next on the Browns countdown. Just up the road from the birthplace of football, it's the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, the site of this 2022 Browns training camp. This is the Browns Countdown Training Camp special. Jon Doss, Hanford Dixon, Jerod Cherry, and Nathan Zegura. Myles Garrett had one of the most special seasons from any defensive player in the history of this franchise last season, Jerod.
Yes.
What's he do for an encore?
Continue the production. Get to that place to where you take that next step. Obviously, it's a team effort, but I believe he has MVP capability. The talent's certainly there. The issue becomes, do you win football games and help the squad do that? And he certainly is capable of that. I love most about Myles as a follower. He put out an issue to his teammates and said, hey, guys, we need to step up. And what did he do? He stepped up right along with it and played a heck of a football game. That type of leadership will get you to that place of the MVP.
Hey, you go out last year, you have 16 sacks, you set the franchise record. You set the franchise record for single-game sacks with 4.5 against Chicago. And now we know he's sitting there at 58.5. He just needs to get over 62 to break the franchise record, which he should do. Maybe even game 1 this year. Who knows? He is dominant, back-to-back first-team All-Pros. Myles Garrett, as good as it gets, and really he's really embraced being a leader. And I think what you talked about there, I've even seen it out in camp. The way he's interacting with the fans, it feels like there's a joy to his game now that maybe early in his career wasn't there, and maybe that could help propel him over the top to get that Defensive Player of the Year that I know he really wants.
It's what you said about David, getting that contract extension, and it made him want to be a better player. For Myles Garrett, it wasn't a contract, but another member of the 99 club on Madden.
That's right.
And the players love that, and the players pay attention to that. And he says, you know what? I want to get higher than that. I want to get to 100 if they'll let me get to it. That's the difference with Myles Garrett.
Well, I could just say this. He's a man's man. And you talk about that Madden 99 club, and I just, my buddy, I talked to him the other day, Bruce Smith, who is the one who presented him with that award. Actually, he's called me. He's coming in town. He's going to be there. Anyway, but guys, Myles Garrett make me want to play defensive back again, because one thing you know, if you get that jam on that wide receiver, if those corners and those defensive back get the jam on the wide receiver, they know the quarterback is not going to have a lot of time to throw the football because of Myles Garrett, because he's going to get there and he's going to get there fast.
And it's disrupting the timing. That's really what it boils down to. When you have that dynamic taking place, it all works itself out. If the defensive line's putting the pass rush on, if the defensive backs are getting what Hanford just described as disrupting the receivers when they're running their routes, it all works together. And the linebackers can cover space, Nathan. All that, you mix it together, you have yourself a top defense.
Yeah, the Browns have that potential, and part of the reasons you bring back Jadeveon Clowney as well.
Yeah.
And, you go in the offseason, you said, number one, let's fix the passing game, check. Number two, let's get Clowney back. Last year, these two, Clowney and Garrett, you see, combined for 25 sacks. They had a 35% pass rush rate, pressure rate when those two were on the field. That was the highest of any combination in the NFL. And those aren't the only guys. Chase Winovich now here. He has 11 sacks in his first 2 seasons in the NFL. And then Alex Wright, your third-round pick out of Alabama, Birmingham, who's got tremendous size. Guy was a high school wide receiver, sprouts up into this giant. Now he's 6'5", 270, and he's somebody they think can play inside or outside in pass rushing situations.
Well, Nathan, I have to say this. I have to ask you this question. We've been talking about the defense. Alpha dog. Tell me, what is this thing about alpha dog?
Well, you are the top dog, the alpha dog.
They're not going for your title.
Right.
It's a thing going on with the defense right now where I think every day in camp they will award one player an alpha dog. There will be an alpha dog for the whole camp and then a position group. So it's a way to foster competition and recognize great play out here, and the defense is enjoying that right now.
Get him
And
going.
much like John Johnson
Yeah.
said, Myles Garrett saying this defense is going to pick up where it left off.
As dominant as we want to be. I feel like that last year, and I feel like this year. We have a lot of talented guys all across the board, and I feel like this is probably the most well-rounded we've been since I've been here. So just try to make the most of it and make plays all up and down the field and take the ball away.
All right, coming up next, it's been a long time since this franchise had a kicker it believed in, since those fans had a kicker they believed in. Perhaps they have him now. Next on the Browns Countdown. Phil Dawson last kicked for the Cleveland Browns in 2012. It has been a long 10 years. Nathan Zegura is Cade York, the next great kicker for this franchise.
Well, the Browns certainly hope so. They went and got him in the 4th round, a guy who made 15 of 19 kicks for more than 50 yards at LSU. He had a walk-off 57-yarder in the fog to beat Florida. And since he has been here in this training camp, he has been perfect. He has not missed a kick. He's hit kicks from over 50 yards. Any distance, right through the middle. He's got the disposition and he's got the talent, I think, to be an elite kicker. And when you hit the ball like he does, the elements factor in a little. It's like when you pure a golf shot. It goes right through the wind. That's what Cade York does when he hits his A-ball. He says he pures it. It doesn't matter. I think he is the answer.
He really has been one of the more impressive offensive, defensive, special teams, one of the more impressive players so far in training.
ABG, always be golfing. Work on that move, Hanford. There it is.
All right, coming up after the break, our final thoughts as we head into the 2022 NFL preseason. You're watching the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special.
I can remember when I was growing up, I wish somebody would give us a donation. And we want to present to you guys, Big Dog, from the Akron Rubber City Kings, a check for $10,000.
And we know that must have been out of Hanford's own pockets. Top dollar presenting a check on behalf of the Cleveland Browns Foundation to the Akron Rubber City Kings Youth Football Club. The cash will help ensure the team has the best equipment for the upcoming season and years to come. Hard to believe we are 1 week away from preseason game number 1. Tune in at 6:30. It's Browns Countdown with myself and Aditi Kinkhabwala from the sideline at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. 7 o'clock kickoff. We want you to watch. Of course, we know Jerod and Nathan will be busy doing other things during the game. But we'd like you to watch. And we're happy you watched us here tonight. Guys, we're back.
That's right.
It's so good to see you guys. Football is back, and we're a week away from real football against another team.
I tell you what, I'm excited. I can't wait for the season to start.
Right. And what looks good on paper also looks good on the football field from what I've seen in practice.
Let's go. Let's go get those W's.
For Nathan Zegura, Jerod Cherry, the top dog, Hanford Dixon, I'm Jon Doss. Thanks so much for watching the Browns Countdown Training Camp Special.